title, The Silent Guardian. In the dimly lit hallway of an old Victorian house, Mark stood frozen, his heart pounding against his chest like a relentless drumbeat. The shadows danced around him, casting eerie shapes upon the walls, as if mocking his fear. His breath came out in short, ragged gasps as he gripped the handle of the kitchen knife tightly in his trembling hand. It had started as an ordinary evening for Mark. He had returned home from work, exhausted and ready to collapse onto his couch with a cold beer in hand. But as he stepped into his house, something felt off. A sense of unease settled over him, prickling at the back of his neck like icy fingers. Ignoring the feeling, Mark had made his way into the kitchen to grab a drink. But then he heard it, a soft, muffled sound coming from the hallway. His senses sharpened as he strained to listen, the hairs on his arms standing on end. He knew he was alone in the house, so the sound could only mean one thing. Someone else was there too. His mind raced with 1,000 possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. Was it a burglar? A deranged lunatic? Mark's thoughts spiraled out of control as he tried to rationalize the situation, but deep down, he knew there was only one thing he could do. He had to confront the intruder. With shaky steps, Mark crept down the hallway, the darkness enveloping him like a suffocating cloak. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like a gunshot in the silence, sending shivers down his spine. But he pressed on, his determination outweighing his fear. And then he saw him, a figure standing at the end of the hallway, obscured by the shadows. Mark's blood ran cold as he realized the truth. The intruder was not a stranger, but someone he knew all too well. It was his neighbor, Mr. Johnson, a seemingly harmless old man who lived alone in the house next door. But there was something different about him now, something sinister lurking behind his eyes. In his hand, he held a gleaming blade, its edges glinting in the faint light. Mark's mind screamed at him to run, to hide, to do anything to escape the impending danger. But he knew that wasn't an option. If he didn't act now, Mr. Johnson would surely harm him, or worse. Summoning every ounce of courage he had left, Mark stepped forward, his hand tightening around the kitchen knife. He didn't know what he was going to do or how he was going to do it, but he knew he had to try, for his own sake and for the safety of anyone.